light on the street for the tourists. And there's a guy, probably some Indian, who just carves these little roses. This is done by Shablon. You just put, this is a piece of wood, and you just put something on it, and then you transparent paper, but this is all painted as a painting first. And then you copy it on that piece of wood, and then you have the whole pattern, and then you start to carve it. And they do it, they don't even know they are doing it. They do so many tables a day when they do this. They are talking to each other. They go, and then you carve a table like this. How is that possible? Nobody can do that. This is not done entirely by a machine. Maybe partially, but not entirely. So behind everything is intelligence. Behind everything there is a person. So to see Krishna's creation as being so perfectly carved and so perfectly produced, suddenly things start to become interesting. Otherwise, we don't see actually anything. We just walk through lives and consume things in more or less passive way. So the process recommended by Krishna is quite simple. How do we start to learn things? To see them more personally and more Krishna conscious way? Well, we need a teacher, of course. For everything we need a teacher. Everything. We need even teach you how to eat. That's the mother. She goes, you eat like this. Because we are born, we don't even know how to eat. They teach us everything. For everything there was a teacher in our life. But somehow when it comes to spiritual life, people say, no, I don't need any teacher. I just feel, the light inside. Well, feelings can change. We know that. So spiritual life is not based on feelings. That doesn't mean there are no feelings. There are feelings, but they have to be controlled by Guru, spiritual master, Shastra, scripture, and then Sadhu means the other spiritual masters who come around and they confirm. Everything is checked. Nothing is accidental, nothing is based just on simple feeling. Everything is checked. Therefore the first thing people get to know when they encounter the Hare Krishna movement that we are quoting all the time. Some reporters got really upset with Prabhupada. Why are you always quoting? Can you say something what you think? What is your opinion? Prabhupada said, no. Yeah, I have no. Of course, we have also opinions, but again, controlled by the scripture, by the spiritual master, and there is a room for opinion. Yes, there is such a thing because we are individual beings. We express ourselves as an individual. So Krishna consciousness is not, that's a classical example, that was the main argument of sect. I grew up in Germany where there was a very strong anti-sect movement. And the biggest argument was, when you join Hare Krishna, you lose your brain, power of decision, actually you lose your own identity. You become simply a passive tool for some guru. Yeah. It appears from outside like that because you are told all the time what to do. No. This is just the means to actually express one's real spiritual nature. As a matter of fact, like example, a relationship guru and disciple can become so advanced that the guru practically becomes almost a friend of a disciple. They act like friends almost because they share the same interest and the same Krishna consciousness. Guru allows himself even to be inspired by the disciple. I mean, you can see it. I remember, my father was a quite famous musician, and he trained up other musicians. Small children. He built a whole orchestra from that. So he started with a small child. I asked him, how do you teach a 5-year-old kid to play violin? It's a quite intricate instrument. You get only this much space to move with your fingers. And each single little movement produces another tone. He said, well, the first year you don't care for the tones. You just have the kid holding the instrument and going, just pulling the string along the strings, just so it can feel like, making some music. And then you start to correct slowly, and you teach how to hold the hand and how to hold this, and you realize the feeling, if you push more, then it becomes like this. And then you get more intimately involved. So he built up a whole thing from that. By the time they were 25 years old, yes, he trained them from 5 to 25, they were sitting in the orchestra and he was sitting in the audience, listening how they are playing. He was not even conducting, he could do that too. But he was sitting in the audience and he was giving applause. I was in such a performance where it was 25 musicians, or more actually, there was 38 musicians, and each single one was his disciple, who he, they grew up with him from childhood. And he was sitting in the public. And they were all having a relationship almost on a friendly level. There was no teacher-disciple relationship anymore, really. And they invited him until today to go with him. People just come on the street, and because it became far more personal as playing just some instrument. He knew each single person, each single destiny of that person, each single thing, grew up with them. He was like a secondary father to them. So it's like, became something like that. So spiritual life is also like that. It can become very personal, very intimate. Even Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, established the process how to reach Him. At the end, when you reach the spiritual world, that's theoretical thought. So if you reach the spiritual world, He will eat with you. He will throw flowers on each other. There's no Krishna in Goloka Dham who walks around us. No. They don't want to even know He's God. He's our friend. He's our lover. He's our, it's just, it's like Mother Yashoda when she got revelation that all the universes and everything is in Krishna's mouth. Then He opened the mouth because she was looking for trace of clay, mud, He was supposed to have eaten as a small child. So her conclusion was, after she saw all this universal form and all this and Krishna's mouth, she said, okay, you can close your mouth, but don't eat any mud again. That was her conclusion from the whole thing. She couldn't relate to this Narayan, universal form. She thought, well, that's not magician or anything. So it's very personal. But of course for us this is only theory to discuss. We are on the level where we cannot even sometimes remember that we are not this body, and we are taken on the tour by the body, thinking constantly in terms of me and mine. This is me and this is mine. And the senses take us on a tour, we think, this is very nice. Just because it got the right shape. Or the fat is placed rightly, we think, this guy is so beautiful. Now this fat is not so nice. This is misplaced fat, not so beautiful. So, we take, we have these bodily perceptions. We get impressed by people's mental constitution. We think, this is nice thinking. He's a nice speculator, he's a nice guy. We get impressed by people's external bodily charisma. And in this way we get cheated all the time. So actually to escape such a cheating, a process accepted by the one who can liberate us from this bondage is the best. And if somebody comes with another process, Prabhupada ultimately said, okay, let's compare the results. He was not arguing really. This process is bad. Let's see what the result is. Like when we are confronted with another religion, we don't say, this is nonsense. We ask, what is the result? Look, what did it do to you? How did you change your life? I didn't change anything. I'm Christian. Well, then what's the use of your Christianity? You didn't change anything. You didn't improve anything. You are the same arrogant, stupid fellow. Sorry. But there are Christians who are learning, and the same thing for Hare Krishna. Are we changing? Are we improving? Are we working on something? Are we getting somewhere? It's a process. Process means you don't stop. You are on the move all the time. Therefore, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, this Shravanam, this hearing should never stop. Whenever you see devotee being either constipated in his progress or coming down, it's because that hearing thing was stopped. But naturally, of course, the more information you have, the more selective you'll be in a hearing. That's also a sign of intelligence. Because there are those we should hear from, there are those we should advise, and there are those we should be simply friendly with. If you mix it up, offenses come about out. That's actually offense. Offense is not to tell somebody, hey, thank you what you said, but it doesn't mean really much. You should listen, you know. What was the thing you said when you joined this Hare Krishna movement? What the first thing they told you? You keep your mouth shut and your ears open. Very good access to Krishna consciousness. But it doesn't stay like this. Naturally not. Because the more you hear, the more you want to naturally speak about Krishna. And that's good. That's a sign of progress. You know, the more we hear, I have to give it to others. I have to disseminate that knowledge. And that comes completely natural. Therefore Shravana, then comes Kirtana. And then comes automatically Smarana. Means remembering, automatically. But first, then comes the Kirtana of what? What? Well, I heard and I saw that I felt that maybe it could be, isn't it? Maybe. Possibly. Yeah, why not? This one gentleman who visited here said, it's all assumptions anyway. So let's exchange the assumptions. Let's assume Krishna consciousness is right. And let's assume it's wrong. It's all an assumption anyway. This is called Mayavada. It's all one and the same, and whatever you assume. Nice, good assumption. So as I must describe it, what happens when you sit in a New York subway as a devotee? You can get inspired. People sit next to you in a subway, that's America, and they go, hey man, Hare Krishna, great, I love it. You know the way, your food, fantastic, great, big time, great. And you think, wow, somebody got inspired in Krishna consciousness. Next second he turns around to the guy sitting left to him, who is maybe who knows what. I don't want to mention specific people, otherwise people immediately get upset, they are discriminating. And he goes, what are you doing? And he goes, I like men and sometimes I'm stealing. Great, fantastic, great, wow, big time, great. So you realize actually what this man is talking means nothing. There's no meaning to it. It's all great. Americans are really good in this. You know, just, hey, a bomb exploded, right? Well, what bomb, where? You know, well, just in the neighborhood. Oh, I heard the bang, it was great bang. Let's bang it all. Big time. You know, that's just stupidity. Great. How was the football match? Great. How was the kirtan? Great. You know, you like Krishna? Yeah. You like the prostitutes? Yeah, great. It's all great. Big time. It's called positive thinking, you know. You embrace anything what comes. No discrimination. So we are not practicing. The more we are progressing in Krishna consciousness, the more we discriminate. The more we get alert. Is this coming from Krishna's inner energy or external energy? Or is this Maya or illusion? What is this? One becomes more cautious. That doesn't mean paranoid, but careful. This is a natural sign of advancement. There's some questions or points to it.
I mean, what is positive thinking in Krishna consciousness? Maybe you can say something like that.
To positively think that the mission of a spiritual master one way or another will be accomplished. The question is, are we going to be part of it or not? And that keeps you always positive. When Prabhupada came to America, there was no scope of success. He was one single old dying man. And he started Krishna consciousness because it was the instruction of a spiritual master. So one cannot be positive thinking without a spiritual master and his mission. Any other positive think is more or less foolishness. Hey, we are doing something really stupid, but let's be positive. Let's be positive about our own stupidity. Let's go on! But that's stupid. One can be only positive in a frame of pushing on the mission of spiritual master. There is no limit to it. And there is no, as Prabhupada, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, there is no cessation and there is no diminishment. Why? Because we are just engaged in the mission. Lifetime after lifetime. That's a quite big time concept, you know. So this lifetime we do this, next lifetime we serve the spiritual master again, we serve the mission of spiritual master again. That's called positive thinking. No death involved. Death cannot stop me. I will keep on serving. Like last night I spent with Vaisheshika Prabhu on the phone. He must have an incredible phone arrangement. 2.5 hours on the phone from USA, because they have a different time schedule. He said, I suspect you have a 9 o'clock in the evening there. And I said, yes, you are right. Okay, then we can start to talk. You know, went up somewhere at midnight. So I told him, but he had some time on it because it just stopped at a certain point. There was some sound and the phone was finished. Maybe you're out of credit, I don't know. And that's called positive thinking. He said, yes, there was a time in America where practical book distribution was extinct. What a big country. Because he's finishing his book, you know, and he wanted to have, he said, I actually don't know anything about Europe. You know, I am seeking any information on Europe. How did you start it over there? And he said, I followed you on the Sankirtan newsletters all the time. You and Rini Sutta. How did it go? And it was all, you know, going backwards and the whole thing. And he told me, who can I really talk in Europe about book distribution? I told him, it's going to be a short list. I told it a lot, but I can give you only a short list. Seriously. Oh, you want to have some positive thinking list? Yeah, that I can do anytime. He said, no, I don't want any lip service list. Sankirtan ki jai, Sankirtan ki jai, Sankirtan ki jai. And then you do anything else. Not this. He was beyond that point. He said, something real. Who is really behind the whole thing? I give you some list. So it was positive thinking. Yeah, it was really positive. He said, and you know what? It's coming back. America is coming alive again. So it's, you know, that's positive thinking. Sometimes it takes 20 years of silence before some radio transmission comes again. You go, you know, you're always on the radio receiver. You go, hello, somebody out there. Hello, 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 help, help, hello. You know, it's just this. I don't want to know, give explanation what that means. It's lots of going on in the name of Krishna consciousness. No, we don't distribute any books anymore. Now we make, you know. Fortunately, we found ourselves very much on the same page. He got me so going, as this file from Prabhupada goes behind me. I have such a file of Sankirtan files. He said, where did Prabhupada say we should stop record distribution? And I just pulled the file and I just opened it and it was just the quotes. There's 4 or 5 letters of Prabhupada admonishing any LP or music distribution in the name of Sankirtan. So he said, oh, it's a long time ago, I heard it somewhere. But you know, in America it was never broadcasted. We never heard this. And I said, yeah, but it's in the letters, you just read. And it's to Hansa Tüller, that was my, you know, my leader. And he took it seriously, he stopped that. In Germany. Then he started again in America, I don't know why. So we had these quotes, and just, you know. I could do a whole night on this. So there are, this is called positive thinking. There are devotees who still think what Prabhupada originally said, what he wanted to be done, and that makes one positive. Otherwise, There's so many people who say, you should be loving and positive thinking. Then do that. You never hear much about them in due course of time. And they are not positive and they are not happy. This is usually the biggest optimists, they become the real pessimists. Because all their dreams are just trashed by material energy. They have been saying in Czech that the real optimist, a good informed pessimist. Well-informed pessimist. That means he knows. And Prabhupada, to rephrase it in Prabhupada's terms, we expect the worst. That's how Prabhupada started. We expect the worst. We think, but how can you think positively? And we hope for the best. That means we are realistic. We know what can happen. And then if it doesn't really happen, at least to the extent it could happen, you become very optimistic. That you realize, because when things do happen, bad things, people go, oh no, my God, oh, then you see somebody sitting there smiling, and he goes, well, it could be much worse, you know. Let's keep on going. That's the real optimism. He's not saying, no, feel good about it. The place is burned down, ruined, bankrupt. It's fine, but positive thinking. Let's imagine the money is there. Let's imagine the progress is there. Let's imagine the pure devotee is there. Let's imagine and keep on going. It's the American thing as I described before. Big time. Everything messed up. It's the most bankrupt country in the whole world. Completely in debt. Big time. America? Big time. Big time. And we are not anti-American. We are also anti-Russian. We are anti-idiotic. That's what it is. Russia, the same thing. Big Russia. Big Russia. We have a big new tank. No. It's coming back. The Cold War is one very careless Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs publicly stated 2 days ago. He said, the Cold War is back. We are just at the verge of another military conflict. Because on both sides they are just, hey, we have a new rocket, and a new missile, and we have new this and new that, and you know, pushing it. Developing all the toys to shoot and kill and destroy. So they will have to use them. They have to employ them. They can go very fast. As Mr. Putin said, I don't understand what they are discussing about this border conflicts in Ukraine and this. I can roll all the way to Stockholm in 2 hours. Do you know that? So they don't push me like this. We are nice people because we didn't roll of it yet. You see, somebody like this, a gun in the hand, he said, I'm a nice guy, I didn't shoot you yet. You see, that's how nice I am. You know. Because it's Russian roulette, you know that? It's the saying. You know how Russian roulette works. So they go, you know, see, I'm not shooting. Not shooting, again not shooting. But one day they hit the wrong button and you know, and then the whole thing starts. Very easy. It was 2 Russian jets, you know, airplanes. One Russian airplane, one American airplane. And they were flying on international airspace. No occupying anybody's space, international space. There's no Krishna space, it's international space. So they were flying next to each other. With a speed, you know, it's jets. They fly ultrasound speed, you know. They were 3 meters from each other. You know what it means? One little hiccup and then, you know, in that speed. 3 meters from each other, looking at each other. You know, Russia, America. This is the mood now. It's piling up. So as a devotees, we have nothing to do with this. We are not politically involved. We are just chanting Hare Krishna and we know. Yeah, Times will come, times will change, comes and goes. There's peace and then there's war, and when is actually the peace coming? Because we see war everywhere already. Butchering the babies in the wombs, butchering the animals, butchering the cows, and butchering people, that's just a small detail. Just continuation of butchering. That's all. So we just chant Hare Krishna, that's our real point. It's so beautiful to know that we are not this body and we don't belong to this world, really. We belong to Krishna. And that we can have if we are engaged in spirit, in mission of spiritual master, and that's called positive thinking. Otherwise, we are like my mother. My mother used to teach me positive thinking about pain. You know how?
Pain?
Yeah. When I came home crying, I hit my head, I fell over. I came home running and I was crying. My mother had a simple way to solve my pain problem. She taught me, when you have this thing coming out of your head like this, and you have pain, and then you take your 2 fingers and you pinch yourself in a thigh so strongly that the pain you will feel is here, not here. That's the solution. It worked. I tried it out. I was going, and I was going, yeah, I don't feel this anymore. But then the pain was here. This is material solution to problems. You just simply shift the pain around. And actually you create a bigger one. One pain is to overpower the other, and you don't feel it anymore. That's it. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna